So hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time zone where you are located. Welcome everybody to our webinar today about ARIS Managed Services. Let the expert run the platform so you can use it. That's the title or the topic of our today's session. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Markus Joldzic. I'm your moderator and I will guide you through this webinar now. First things first, during this webinar, we have all lines on mute to make it easier for the presenters to speak and, of course, for you to follow the session. But we want to make this also a little bit interactive, so you can always ask questions. At least just submit your question via the chat window, and I will collect all the questions and we will definitely answer them at the end of this webinar during our Q&A session. If you have any technical issues, for example, if you cannot follow the presentation, if you can't hear as well, please send me a note, ideally in the chat window, and I will try to help. And we'll also record this webinar in case you cannot join for the entire session, or if you want to hear the webinar later again, or if you want to share it with your colleagues. You will find the recorded session of this webinar within the next couple of days at our Software AG YouTube channel. Okay, so saying that, I want to introduce you to our speakers today. So our first speaker today is Maurice Hancock. Maurice is the engagement manager at Software AG UK and works for some of our largest customers in the UK. He has been with Software AG now for more than 5 years, and he will provide an overall context about the necessity of ARIS Managed Services and his experience with our client base. Our second speaker is Teodor Nunev. Teodor has been working as a team leader for the Managed Services team in Bulgaria for more than half a year, and he was the first member of that team back when it was founded 3 years ago. Teodor has a master's degree in Management Information Systems, and he has already more than 10 years of professional experience in the IT industry, and he is already for more than 4 years with Software AG. My name is Markus Joldzic. I'm your moderator, and now I'm handing over to Maurice for the introduction.
Thanks, Markus, and welcome everybody to the webinar. So, really, just before we get into the agenda, what I wanted to do was just really give some context as to why we're presenting the managed services and the different offerings that we have, and really the experience and some of the feedback we're getting from clients in the field. I think really sets us into context. So without reading the quotes to you word by word, the first one does talk about upgrades, and the client actually did say to me that they like the upgrades and they like the fact that it's included in the managed service that we provide them, because it keeps the system current and it keeps it modern. And in fact, I've just been in a workshop with a client who's still next door, actually talking about upgrades for web methods. And we're really trying to break the cycle of big upgrade projects every 3 to 5 years and have small increments with smaller resources required to keep current, and that really fits with what we do in a managed service. The second is a client looking to roll out ARIS and Alphabet potentially up to 90,000 users within a year. And their view is it's not that they can't do the system administration or they don't have the skills, but they would rather have their resources, run the platform and use the platform and get the benefit out of it rather than administer it. And then the final quote is from a client looking to upgrade. And in fact, as we discuss the upgrade options with them, their view has been that they should be running this stuff in the cloud and not worrying about the infrastructure and operating systems. And that really fits with the modern view of the industry, and cloud conversations happen all the time with the client base. And the managed service really fits on top of not just providing a platform as a service, but really then providing a full software as a service. So again, client base can use the capabilities we offer them rather than have to managing the nuts and bolts. So with that, I'll just briefly run through the agenda and then hand over to Theo. So very simply, we're going to cover what we do in terms of managed services, some different packages that we offer, and we've got some standardized examples of that. We will run through a couple of client case studies that I think are quite interesting and relevant, and then we'll just close with why software AG, and then open up for Q&A. So with that, I'll hand over to Theo, who will talk about what we offer, and I shall jump in from time to time. Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. So I want to start this conversation with what we actually offer for you and what kind of services we are ready to provide to you. First of all, we have separated our services into three main groups. The first group is focused on transition of the project towards managed services. The second one is the minimum of standard operation services that we can offer to you. And then there is the third group, which has a larger group of services that you can choose from. So as you can see, there are the different services within the transition phase, the minimum standard operation services, and then there is the huge list with the extended operation services that you can choose from. So I'm going to go into more details about the different services we offer, starting with the transition. First off, there is the list of the involved people in the transition. We have a technical lead on our side and the service manager, and we also have the customer's application owner. Within the transition phase, we design the process and we align our processes with the customer's processes. And then we have the technical enablement, where we need to transfer the knowledge and we need to configure the accesses needed. And this is everything we need for the transition. Then there are the three services that are the minimum that we can offer within the operation phase. We have the incident management, the standard service request fulfillment, and the standard service management. It's interesting to know that we have a service catalog, which is configured during the transition phase, and these services, these requests could be fulfilled within the operation phase. Next, there is the list of the extended services. We have a big group of services that we can also offer to the customers, and everyone can choose if one of these services will be included in our offer. As you can see, we have product and solution upgrade. We can monitor and manage the events. There is a non-standard service request fulfillment, change management, problem management, and we also have the extended service management. So now that I have showed you the services that we are offering to you, I want to give you an insight about the time, how everything happens in the time. First off, there is the discover phase, then we have the plan phase and the setup phase. And the main focus here in this slide is actually that you can see within 8 weeks we can start the operation effectively. However, we can also start within 2.5 weeks with the operations. We have here limited SOAs, for instance. So these are the services we have. I would want to hand over to Maurice to give you more details about the packs that we offer.
Thank you, Theo. So yes, so really there's two models that we offer, on-premise and cloud. So first of all, to cover the what I would call the traditional on-premise managed service that we would offer. Typically, we would cover the whole of the transformation platform, so the core ARIS and Alphabet we can add to that. We can also include the performance, so the process mining and the risk and compliance models into the mix as well. But in terms of the responsibilities and how we deploy, obviously we manage the software AG platform and what we call the application. So that's the configured product on top of just the software itself. So that would be in ARIS things like the process governance. In Risk and Compliance Manager, it might be some of the customized workflows, and we set all that up during transition, and that's the importance of transition, so that we onboard all of those configurations and customizations such that we can support the running application. Things like database, operating system, hardware, data centers are obviously all managed by the client. And if we look at the deployment model of how that works in reality, and again, a lot of this is part of transition. We have to integrate into the client systems. If you move the slides on one, please, Theo, you can see that we have quite an advanced, repeatable process around the service management and the level 2s, the level 3s, and how we hand off to different parts of our organisation. And you can see at the top that where we interface into the customer systems, typically the customer will still run a level 1 support help desk, and then we will integrate into their ticketing system, either through technical integration or through a process whereby they give us their tickets, and we run their application from there. And that's typical, and we've got many clients by which we run the service for those on that basis. If we move on to cloud, there's a subtle difference between how we deliver on cloud. So obviously the first thing is that in cloud, we certainly Software AG's cloud, we run the infrastructure, of course. Now, infrastructure isn't just we've got their Amazon Web Services hosting, so it isn't just the hosting itself, but there is a whole cloud operations capability that you do get with the Software AG cloud around design and configuration. So that's effectively, designing the VMs and the clusters and the servers within the cloud environment. We monitor and govern and apply security patches to the cloud itself, and obviously we provide a certain amount of support and maintenance around databases, operating systems, and things like that. So in terms of cloud, that our cloud operations and web hosting does offer a platform as a service. We then obviously put the client or the customer tenant data on top of that, and then we offer 2 tiers of service level. So the first tier of service level is a basic service level around effectively a quick start to get clients up and running, whether it's an upgrade to the cloud or whether it's a new deployment. But crucially, in that service, we include upgrades. Upgrades are normally part of an extended service, not the standard response and incident management service. But on cloud, we recognise that there are 2 upgrades a year that our cloud team look to deploy. Cloud, by definition, stays current and does need to move onto current platforms. So we offer a service whereby we can help move, test, and deploy the upgrades of the configured application, not just the software, to our client systems. And then on top of that, we build up with a full managed service on top of that, which is the second tier of service. And if we just go to the next slide, there's a little bit more detail around what those 2 tiers include. So as I said, the tier 1 includes a certain amount of days, typically 10, for configuration and support. Often that includes a single sign-on requirement from the client through to our cloud. It does include upgrade support for standard and non-standard and customized configurations. And we include a technical account manager, stroke service account manager for leadership and best practices, which is well received by the client base. The tier 2 then adds a full managed service around our ITIL processes, around incident management, user management, and minor change handling, which are all defined under ITIL. One thing further to say on that, because our cloud packages, effectively, if you buy ARIS, you buy a medium, large, or extra large, and our service packages and managed service packages across tier 1 and tier 2 are aligned and standardized to those deployments. So we've got a very simple productized offering that we can offer to cloud deployments. And with that, I'll hand back to Theo, who's going to talk about a couple of examples that we've delivered recently.
Thank you, Maurice. So we already showed you the services we have. We also showed you the modes you can use them. And I have prepared 2 examples for you just to show you how it works. The first example I have is with a customer we have, which is a huge healthcare equipment manufacturer. They have a customized environment with 5 multi-node installation. They have a customized APG workflow, and there was the situation where their environment was failing, and due to this, the APG workflows gave out errors. And they previously didn't have our critical incident management service, and this was a problem for them. That's why they decided to choose it. And what we did in this particular case, we started in the process around 10 o'clock in the morning, and this process actually has different components. First off, there is this email that is sent to all the key holders and stakeholders, and everyone knows what is the current state, what are the next steps, which ensures visibility. And due to this process, we were able to resolve the issue within 4 hours. The next example that I have prepared for you is with another customer we have, a huge retail company, and I have prepared some statistics for you. We have resolved around 400 tickets for them, and just the managed services team, without the help of any other third parties, was able to resolve more than half of the tickets on their own. We have saved 900 hours for the customer, and our time to react was less than 15 minutes. So as you can see, there were no bottlenecks for the customer. So as you can see, our processes, our services are easy to implement with the customer's workflow, and in a really short time, you can profit from this. So I will hand back to Maurice with why you should choose Software AG and not any other provider.
Thanks, Theo. And that second example was, really quite powerful. 900 man hours. That's well over 100 days. So very impressive. So really, there's 4 things that I think are worth noting around what we do and our managed service. I mean, the first one is that we are the technology owner. Now that means we've got privileged and overprivileged access to both R&D and global support. So that gives us, advanced roadmap visibility and new capability to not only share with our client, but to upskill our teams such that we can support the new versions coming out. And second, the proximity to global support means that if there are issues and incidents that we're handling that do relate to products, then we can escalate those and progress those as well quicker than anybody else. The second is around the competency centre that we have in Theo's team, and really that's a set of repeatable skills and repeatable processes. So, whereas again organisations we're discussing upgrade typically once every 3 years, and it's a large project. We are running upgrades and we are resolving incidents with a knowledge base that on a daily basis, which means that typically we'll have a faster resolution time, and we also won't fall into the traps of skill shortages around upgrades and other aspects of the management service. You saw on one of Theo's slides the transition process, and every service needs a transition such that we're upskilled on it, but we are able to start sooner than transition completion, and that's really important in terms of making sure the incident desk is up and running as quickly as it can be, and we're providing the service manager and if chosen the technical account management to provide best practice, and that just means that we can shorten the time to value and increase the advantage of the service. And then the final is around cloud. We've done a lot of work to standardise and make the managed service relevant and important to the cloud offerings, such that we can apply a very simple model to deploy those. And with that, I think that's the end of our pre-packaged content. I'd like to thank you for your attention and hand back over to Markus, who will moderate the Q&A.
Yes, thank you, Maurice. So, we have seen it's very fast and simple to leverage our experience in order to manage your ARIS applications, and so I hope we have now created some interest, and if you have any questions, please take the chance now and submit your question via the chat window, and our experts will be directly able to answer them. So there was already one question right in the beginning: where does your service differ from other ITIL managed service offerings? Maurice, maybe you want to answer that? Yeah,
I can do that. I think Theo, if you go back, or you can go back, I don't know how easy it is to do, to your first slide around what we offer. I think it's really exemplified. Keep going. That's the one there. It's really the extended operational services that we offer. So I always present it as an enhanced ITIL-based service. So the ITIL parts around incident management, service management, and service request fulfillment are absolutely crucial to keeping the lights on and providing a reactive-based service to keep operations operational. The extended options really give us more of a proactive delivery approach. So rather than just reacting to support tickets, we're able to include, in the scope of the work, product updates, upgrades, which aren't normally part of, they're normally a change, but we can include the upgrades because we know the products are well. We can provide improved, enhanced monitoring. We can provide a certain amount of small project and small change requirements. So again, if there are a small number of reports, for example, or a workflow that needs updating, we can factor those into the service and include a certain amount of those within the fixed price that we offer, and that just makes it easier to accommodate what we know are going to be changing client needs without having to go through an extensive change management process every time, and change control process every time that a change is required. So it's really the extended options that enhance the core ITIL processes.
All right, thank you, Maurice. So we have one more question, but before we come to that, I just want to yeah, encourage you again, if you have any question, please use the chat window. Or of course you can contact the team of this webinar directly. We will come to that later. So the question we have here is quite an interesting one. What is the difference between ARIS Cloud and Cloud Managed Service? So Maurice, maybe you want to answer that as well?
Yeah, happy to do that. Again, if you go to my build slide around the cloud offerings, that'll probably help. So there we go. Yeah. So ARIS Cloud is really the bottom of that stack. So it's the web hosting, it's the management of the software within the cloud environment, and it's the wrapper around security and firewalls and everything else that goes along that. So that effectively is platform as a service in my mind. On top of that, we then, I mean, that's as if the client's running that's us running our software in our data center. The managed service then on top of that covers the things that the managed service would cover if that was on premise. So it is the service desk, it's the incident management, the request fulfillment, the upgrades, the best practice, the leadership. So really, even onboarding new users and project initiation, it's us administering and managing the platform as opposed to just providing the raw platform as a service.
All right, thanks. I'm checking the chat. There's one more question. I'm already a premium support customer. What is the difference now between premium support service and managed service? I think that's also quite an interesting question. Maurice, for you maybe?
Yeah. No, I can do that one as well. Thank you. So it is a good question, actually. So premium support, actually, Theo, if you go up a couple of slides to the model on process around how that's it back there. So premium support is support that you get with the software when you purchase it. So I think on the diagram on the left-hand side, we provide level 2 support for support and incident management. If we find that there is an issue with the actual software itself, we will manage the handoff to Software AG's support desk at L3, and then ultimately, if the product needs fixing, they will engage R&D to fix it. So premium support focuses around that L3, L4 layer around the Software AG's global software support, and with premium support, you get a faster resolution for software-related issues around the response times and some of the cover that we offer. So it's that is the distinction between the difference between standard and premium support. The managed service is the wrapper around that, around before we get into actual supporting the software itself.
Okay, thank you, Maurice. So looks like these are all questions. Just one more question: whom to contact about our managed service? That brings me to the last slide. So of course, for more information, or if you have any questions later on, or if you're hearing the recording of that webinar and you have questions, you can of course reach out to the team of this webinar directly via the email address which is displayed here on the slide, or of course we invite you also to contact with us on LinkedIn, for example. So you will find all the speakers of this webinar on LinkedIn as well, or of course you can contact your local Software AG representative that you're already in contact with. Yeah, as mentioned before, the recording of this webinar will also be available in the next couple of days at our Software AG YouTube channel. And yeah, by that, I think we will close this webinar now. We have no further questions. I would like to thank you all for joining us today. Thank you also to our speakers, and I hope to see you soon again in one of Software AG's webinars. Thank you for attending. I wish you a nice rest of the day and say goodbye.